It is the beginning of the end. The fittest athletes in the world have descended on Madison, Wisconsin for one last ride. Welcome to the 2023 NOBULL CrossFit Games, and for the final time, the fittest on earth will be crowned at the Alliant Energy Center. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland with Chase Ingram. Nikki Brazier and Mike Arsenault will be joining us in just a moment. But Chase, the bikes are back.
Sixth time we've had it at the CrossFit Games. Fourth time we've had it here in Madison. But Sean, this will be the longest amount of time these athletes will spend racing on these bikes.
The recipe for success here is delivered by Trifecta.
Simple, competence on the bike. Do you know how to use this? Are you comfortable going fast? But confidence in the terms. That technical piece of this race may be the deciding factor of who wins and who loses.
Mike Arsenault and Nikki Brazier have us covered out on the competition course. Let's send it down to them, starting with Mike Arsenault.
Thank you very much, Sean. It's called ride, but I'd argue the most important verb for the athletes on this test will be run. On each and every lap, the athletes will bike toward this plywood barrier. They'll have to dismount and get into the transition area. They'll run with their bikes 85 meters down this grassy decline, make a left turn, 30 meters straight away, and then an 85-meter incline that will hammer their quads and glutes on each lap. 200 meters of running, 2,400 meters of biking. And for how these athletes will finish this test, let's go to Nikki Brazier.
Hey Mike, thank you. Another twist to get at you. Just a short distance from the starting line are these pylons right behind me. Now at the 40-minute mark, the equipment team will bring these pylons out, effectively creating a gate. The athletes that make it through the gate will race to the finish, and the first one there wins. The athletes who don't make it through the gate at the 40-minute mark will be ushered off the course, and they will fall behind the leaders in the rankings.
All 40 women will be out on the course for this opening test. 20 women in front, 20 women in back. The higher ranked athletes will be towards the middle. And for the second straight year, we are starting with the test on the bikes. The top two finishers from Ride to Work not here. That's Haley Adams and Tia Toomey. Laura Horvath is here. She has stood on the podium before at the CrossFit Games, including the last 2 years, but this year, she's looking to stand on top of it.
She got 5th at Bike to Work last year. She also got 2nd in the crit in 2018 and 2 second-place finishes and a 3rd. This is the year that Laura is looking to win the CrossFit Games.
She was 2nd overall her rookie year in 2018, then struggled a couple years in 2019 and 2020. The last 2 years, though, 3rd in 2022, 2nd in 2021. And once again, the favorite to win the whole thing here at the 2023 NOBULL CrossFit Games.
Stand by.
CrossFit Country. Let's ride.
Yes, and one thing to note is that it's going to be a rolling start. So once they get past this basically starting point is where the chip timers activate and the race begins. The reason for that is they'll have to stay behind Adrian Bosman. He'll peel off, and then the race will begin instead of a mass start where there could be some jostling for position and putting athletes in a dangerous spot. That rolling start helps them get a safe start to the race.
Well, the numbers on front of the bikes, those are the lane numbers. There'll be a different number on front of the bikes and on the athlete jersey as well.
And Sean, as we said, this is 40 minutes max laps. But once they close that 40-minute gate, you're either past the gate or you're not, and then it's your time it takes to cross the finish line. It is still a race to the finish for all these athletes out here on the course.
So already we're starting to see some separation amongst the leaders.
Now these athletes have had an opportunity to ride this course previous to this, get used to their bike, get fitted for their bike. You see it's a pretty slow start. You've got all 40 athletes jammed up. We have 22 total turns in this race. 14 or 15 of them are a bit more technical. That's almost that 180 turn or loop back. And what you'll probably see is a lot of athletes are going to take their time in the first lap. If there's a big group in front, is just get used to the course, kind of wake their body up, get used to the racing, the turns, the elevation changes, and then we'll start to see some separation about the last lap or first 2 laps.
Jamie Simmons followed by Laura Horvath and Emma Watson. Those are your top 3 here. 40 minutes is when the gate will close. As you heard Nikki mention earlier, any athlete makes it through the gate will complete one final lap. first person to the finish line wins.
And again, your score is number of laps completed. So if I do 9, you do 8, I get the winning time. But if there's half the field on lap 9, then that's when the time element comes into play. The first one across the finish line, that's their time plus the 9 laps.
Catherine Davidsdottir has now moved into 4th place. Laura Horvath is out front ahead of Jamie Simmons and Emma Lawson.
Emma Lawson, who last year got 3rd in bike to work behind Haley Adams, but just behind Tia Toomey, where she spent the majority of the race drafting off of her. And that's an element to this race that some athletes really could work together potentially for 40 minutes to make the 40 minutes easier as a group.
There is Laura Horvath, who is now starting to pull away from the 3 women behind her, Jamie Simmons, Emma Lawson, and Catherine Davidsdottir.
You can see these little switchbacks on the course. And in this course overall, it's a bit of a blend of cyclocross and cross-country mountain biking. The time domain, 40 minutes. You know, sprint course races in cross-country mountain bike are about 20 minutes. Olympic distance, 70 to 80 minutes. This is right in between. Cyclocross is a bit more muddy, right? It's usually a wintertime sport, so the technicality of the turns. Cross-country biking, there's a bit more things in the way. So this is a nice blend of the two when it comes to this race.
Horvath still out front, followed by Simmons, Lawson. Davidsdottir's in the top 5 as well. Now, there is a scenario where the leader and the eventual winner of this test could hit the gate. That would happen if Laura Horvath, for example, laps the field, is a lap ahead, gets cut off at 40 minutes, but she would still win because she would be a lap ahead of everybody else and would have the best time.
And the reason being is that finish line or time line for the lap is actually before the actual physical gate itself. So she could be on lap 10 and gets basically her time of 40:01 would be her race split time for the 10th lap, where everybody else would be behind her.
Horvath taking a look over her left shoulder to see where her pursuers are, and she is all by herself right now. We approach the 5-minute mark, 40 minutes before they close the gate. Now, that is a soft 40 minutes as Horvath will hop off the bike now and enter her first running portion. But if there is a pack approaching the gate, they're not going to close it at 40. They're going to let those people through.
Hey, right,
They're not trying to cause any wrecks out there.
Into it, but this is the run portion of the race course. So as you see on your screen, 2,400 meters on the actual bike, 200 meters on the run. This run's going to take somewhere between, I would say, 45 to 60 seconds. 45 may be a bit aggressive on that time check, but it's enough time to have a decent impact on the way people navigate the course. And what's going to be interesting here is that the run portion, every lap, is going to get tougher and tougher as their legs get more tired as the race continues. If you've ever done a triathlon, getting off a bike, if you've been on it for 10, 12K, those first, I don't know, 800 to 1,600 meters off the bike, it's a little swirly.
Catherine Davidsdottir was able to close the gap significantly on Laura Horvath as Davidsdottir moves into second. Lawson is behind them, and it's Karin Freyova in 4th.
Catherine riding the back wheel, and this is the backside stretch. This will be the longest stretch these athletes will have on I would say, close to a straightaway as you can. You're coming off the turn, it's downhill half the way through. You got a nice straightaway, but this is the issue sometimes when you run yourself into the front of the pack, is that everyone's just going to sit on your wheel. And that was some of the problems we saw in crit, where nobody was going to take ahead or take charge there. But at the same time, you can also dictate the pace as well. A lot of times you'll see, okay, the straightaway is where I'm going to try to gain the most time, where I can go the fastest. But with the amount of turns that we have on this course, Sean, it's actually the turns where you want to try to lose the pack. Those technical turns where maybe you can gain a second every turn. But the straightaway, I think this is your one chance to recover every lap.
Approaching the 7-minute mark here. Timing presented by G-Shock, the official watch of the NOBULL CrossFit Games. And it's still Horvath, Davidsdottir, and Lawson, your top three. Now, Annie Thorisdottir now starting to make a bit of a move. She's on the number 3 bike.
It's good to see Annie back in competition and Katrin back in competition. Annie went team last year. Katrin missed the games for the first time since 2014. And Katrin Davidsdottir, if you look at events that are very similar to this, we'll go back to 2017 and 2018. 2017, cyclocross, same course. Not exactly the same course map, but the same place. She got 3rd. In crit in 2018, which is just 10 laps for time around the campus, she got 3rd. Katrin is a very good biker when it comes to the CrossFit Games. Annie Thorisdottir, 5th and 7th. Bethany Flores is another athlete that we may not be thinking about of a 5th and 2nd, and it's what, Emma Carey.
Emma Carey is toward the back here, but it's still early as we're 1 lap completed. And here's the replay of what happened.
Matilda Garnis, Sahir Kaya got mixed up in the turns. Oh, wow.
Then Emma off the side of the course.
Now, if that were to happen later in the race, it'd be a bit more devastating. Hopefully,
Mary coming across for her first lap.
nothing technical happened to the bike, nothing physically damaging happened to Emma. She's got 32 minutes to try to catch the pack. For her, it'll be playing, call it the fishing game, right? You pick someone in front of you, slowly try to reel them in, maybe use them to draft your way up through the main pack.
9 minutes gone by here. Laura Horvath had the top split time on her first lap of 6 minutes, 26 seconds.
And Laura did the same thing on the first lap, where she pulled ahead of the field, but then they all caught her after that first 200-meter run.
Katrin Davidsdottir, I believe, is out front now. She has overtaken Horvath for the lead.
One of the big questions coming in this weekend was, how is Katrin Davidsdottir going to fare after basically missing a year from last year? And you know, if you look at stats of Katrin Davidsdottir making the games and missing the games, and then her performance when she comes back to the games, pretty solid. Missed in 24, made in 2013, missed in 14, won back-to-back 15 and 16.
Emma Lawson is now in 2nd place ahead of Laura Horvath. And it's
Just let her run a race, though. Tell her to run a race.
Emily Rolfe in the number 24 bike. On the outside, they're moving up as well. Annie Thorisdottir still there. And you saw Emma Tall, the number 7 bike. And now it's Katrin Davidsdottir here, lap number 2.
You see the field starting to separate themselves in little clusters of athletes as Katrin Davidsdottir on the bottom right part of your screen is leading the field, but we saw Laura Horvath do the same thing in the first lap. Now, can the field catch Katrin as the field did for Laura on the second one?
Katrin Davidsdottir was able to make up significant ground on Horvath on that first transition area. As now it's Emma Lawson in 2nd, Horvath in 3rd, and Emily Rolfe in 4th.
Emily Rolfe, the only event she did last year at the CrossFit Games was bike to work, as she had basically a blood clot that was basically stopping any circulation that I believe was in her left arm. But Emily Rolfe is a great endurance athlete, especially when you talk about running. She still got, I think, like a top 12 finish last year in bike to work, and that was with pull-ups and chest to bar, and toes to bar mixing them.
Had to have emergency surgery to get that blood clot out of her arm. As Davidsdottir is off the bike, here's Emma Lawson, Horvath, and Emily Rolfe there as well.
And Sean, look, she had an extensive lead, but in one stop and obstacle, everyone's caught back up to her. It's not really beneficial to send yourself out by yourself early in these laps. Working together They do this in cyclocross. They do this in road races. Work together. It's an individual event across the board, but work together as a group to get ahead of this other pack of the field.
Emily Rolfe on the outside has moved into third ahead of Horvath, and looking like she's trying to chase down Lawson for second. Lawson is now ahead of Davidsdottir. This transition is big here.
Keep her on the transitions, how people get on the bike.
Alexis Raptis, number 8, just dumped her bike, but she's back to work here, so she has moved up towards the front of the pack. It's now Emma Lawson, your leader, followed by Catherine Davidsdottir and Emily Rolfe.
It's going to be Lawson,
Backstretch, good
Davidsdottir,
straightaway,
and Rolfe.
opportunity to catch your breath a little bit. It's slightly downhill here, not by a whole bunch.
Davidsdottir, Raptis, Simmons.
Now lap 2
The next pack in Brayova.
is done.
Magala coming across for lap number 2. We are 13 minutes in. Here comes
And it was Emma Lawson who had the fastest split
Kerstetter as
on that
well.
lap. Got across in 12:53.
That gravel line is about the base of the downhill portion when it goes slightly uphill. There's not a massive elevation changes on this course, but there are 6 significant ones, usually around some of the more technical turns. So a turn at the base of a 180 degrees, but then you go straight up the hill. So navigating your gears, that's one thing we really haven't discussed yet. That's part of the technical aspect of this race. The course, I would say again, it's relatively flat, more just like rolling up and down. So you're probably working with about like 2 to 3 gears back and forth against each other.
2 Canadians out front, Emma Lawson and Emily Rolfe, here on lap number 3. And we're not even halfway through the 40-minute cap where the gate will close, and then the leaders who make it through race to the finish.
Third lap, third lead change we've seen so far, but the same result is that the top rider got about 10 to 20 meters on the second place athlete or even the second place pack. This is a bit more of a stretch than we've seen any athlete take so far.
Mentioned that bike to work test last year. Emma Lawson finished third in that opening test.
Good job, Emma. Good job.
And was one of the reasons why she had the overall leaders jersey at one point last year in her rookie year.
And the question in the beginning of the year last year is like, would she even go individual? She still had one more year of eligibility in the team division and ended up wearing, as you said, Sean, the leader jersey at one point. And the confidence that you could gain from something like that, not just qualifying as an individual as a teenager. I think she just turned 17 when she made the CrossFit Games as an individual last year, but to put on the jersey with the likes of Laura Horvaths, Tia Toomey's, the Mal O'Briens of last year, it's got to be a great confidence boost for a young athlete.
Emma Lawson finished 6th overall last year. Of the 14 tests, she was inside the top 10 in 7 of them. Faded a little bit towards the back, but did finish third in 3 separate tests. Bike to works, the skill speed medley, and then up and over.
So slight downhill on this gravel. You got to be careful in this turn because the most dangerous turns you can make are something like loose sand, loose gravel. So it's not the most imperative turn. To get a little bit of speed, maybe coast, let that quad pump settle down a bit on the bike courses. You know, Sean, we let off is like, this is the longest bike race these athletes have had programmed at the CrossFit Games. Yes, there's a 200-meter run portion of this, but different than bike to work, right? You went out there, did 75 toes to bar, 5 laps around the course, only 5 miles. Had chest to bar, you had some breaks in here. This is constant. This is constant pedaling, constant pushing, up, down terrain, all these turns. It's more physically draining than any bike test they've had at the CrossFit Games.
It's Emma Lawson, Emily Rolfe, and then about 6 riders behind them in a pack. Leaders on lap number 3 here.
Rolfe made a decent push on the run portion of the second lap. But we've seen every lead dissipate after that 200-meter section.
Captain Davis' daughter leads that pack. She was the leader on lap number 2. Lawson, a former teen champion, finished first in the 16 to 17-year-old division at the CrossFit Games in 2021 and was third in the 14 to 15-year-old division in 2019. She started CrossFit when she was 7 years old.
I ran into a young fan yesterday, and she has some aspirations. I think you saw in the hotel room or the hotel lobby as well.
Eden.
And yeah,
New Brunswick, Canada.
Yeah, it's exactly a fellow Canadian, and she had games aspirations. And they always said it's like, you got time. You got time. If that's your goal, great. But someone like Emma Lawson just did it the right way. Slow, steady, decent progression.
Great transition from Emma Lawson as she is now on the run portion of this third lap. Emily Rolfe behind her.
The one thing about this run portion, it is a decent part of this race, but the other part is that what it does is it disrupts the rhythm a little bit. You get used to your bike, used to the turns, and you start to settle in. When you have to hop on and off the bike, it's just that little wrinkle that Boz is throwing in there to disrupt the athlete's rhythm on and off the bike.
Now that pack that is behind Lawson and Rolfe, they are well into this run portion.
And if you watch Tour de France or any type of road race when it comes to cycling, the hardest thing you can do is break away by yourself. And what you like to hope to have is maybe 2 or 3 riders with you that you can collectively work together to get away from the pack. And if you can do that, if Emily and Emma can somehow work together, they'll both benefit from that when it comes to drafting, because when you've got 10 athletes in a pack, even if they're not working together, they're helping each other because of the ability not to have to pull that group the entire time by themselves.
So Bethany Flores was one of the last women to get on the bike there to close out that transition area, who did extremely well in the cyclocross event that we had here.
9th in 2017 in cyclocross, 4th in 2018 in the crit. Another athlete, I'm just saying, it's good to have her back. She couldn't compete in 2021, injured in 2022, and it's good to see her back in competition here in 2023.
Emma Lawson and Emily Rolfe are ready to close out lap number 3.
Emma Lawson is the first athlete of any that took the lead that maintained it after the first 2 laps. Laurel Horvath leading lap 1, fell behind the pack. Katrin Davis leading lap 2, fell behind the pack. Emma Lawson is extending her lead. Not just the pack, but on second place, Emily Rolfe.
That was Jamie Simmons, who sits in third ahead of Laura Horvath. And it's Alexis Raptis on that number 8 bike behind them. On the outside, that's Karin Freyova, the number 9 bike.
I said the challenging part of leading by yourself. The other is if the chase pack does not know how to work together, they're at the mercy of the speed whoever's leading that pack. Because at this point, Emma Lawson has basically, we call it breaking the rubber band, and that's when you have this line of sight of someone you're chasing, so you're somewhat emotionally or mentally tethered to them. I'm still within striking distance, I have that. She's snapped it. She hasn't snapped it on Emily Rolfe just yet, but she has broken contact with that lead pack. Now that lead pack is no longer pacing off Emma Lawson or Emily Rolfe. They're pacing by whoever's leading that pack, and if whoever's leading that pack is not doing their job to run down Emma Lawson can now extend her lead without even you have to try that much. I mean, she's trying very hard, but it's pushing to get away from a pack.
And back behind Emma Lawson, that pack, they are communicating with each other. And we've seen that before in bike races here, where athletes start to work together, whether it's drafting in the crit a couple of years ago,
well,
and now figuring out who's going to try to push the pace here.
Communicating in the crit a few years ago was more like, get your butt up here and lead the pack. So it depends on what the communication actually is.
Past the halfway point before that gate will close at the 40-minute mark, and Emma Lawson continues to lead here. Grabbed that lead in lap 3, and here in lap 4 is looking to build on it. Emily Rolfe is the only woman who is within striking distance of her right now.
And what's nice here on the switchbacks for Emma Lawson is that she can see how her lead is. You start to get familiar with the course. Okay, every time I get to this turn, this is where my chase athlete is. This is where the pack is. Okay, now, I haven't lost any ground. I'm in a good pace right now. Oh, it's starting to catch me. Maybe you need to turn it up a little bit.
For more on Emma, let's go down to the course. That's where Nikki Brazier is.
Competition, and she actually told me that she was most looking forward to this bike event. She said she really enjoyed the bike implement last year, and so she was happy to see it back again. Now, her personal goal for this season is to really just execute each test with the best effort that she possibly can and leave the competition with absolutely no regrets while having fun, which she said is a little bit tough given all the pressure coming off of last season.
I was able to talk with Emma Lawson in the weeks leading up to this, and asked her about what it was like to wear the leader's jersey last year, when she said she had no expectations, and she said it didn't seem real. And it definitely validated for her the fact that she belonged with the world's best.
Well, I mean, how many times have you seen someone wear the leader jersey for the last 6 years previous to that, then Tia Toomey? Rarely was she ever out of that jersey. So almost to be wearing someone else's, what you would consider uniform in the competition is probably a surreal feeling indeed.
Yeah, one of the easiest jobs the past 6 years here in Madison has been putting the leader's jersey, because you just got to put Toomey's name on it and it's call it a day.
Yeah.
Emma Lawson is all by herself. In the background, you can see the pack behind Emily Rolfe.
Emma Carey? Was that Emma Carey?
That is Emma Carey. Emma Lawson is possibly going to lap Emma Carey. We showed you earlier Emma Carey involved in a wreck that saw her go over one of the barriers. I'll send it down to Mike Arsenault.
Yeah, Sean, as you mentioned, Emma Carey had the difficulty earlier in this test, and we mentioned off the top, would we see athletes lap other athletes? That's exactly what we're about to see right here on this lap, because Emma Carey and Emma Lawson are both on this transition, and Emma Carey, since she fell, has not looked comfortable on this bike in this test whatsoever. So we're going to see Emma Lawson catch Emma Carey, two of our youngest stars in CrossFit, very shortly here, potentially by the end of this lap.
There is Emma Carey, who is still on her third lap.
Second to 50.
You know, it's a good sign for Emma Lawson is just one-handing the bike. A lot of times you'll see people hold two hands when they start to get fatigued, almost like a little bit of a crutch. But you got that one hand. That's a little bit of a swagger hold when it comes to running with the bike. Same thing for Emily Rolfe.
Doesn't give up really any ground to Emily Rolfe, who is now solidly in second place. And now here comes the pack.
And one thing with the transitions here, Sean, is that you don't want to just hop on the seat when you get over this barrier. You want to run with it and get some momentum.
That is Emma Tall, who is now in third place leading that pack, as Catherine Davids-Aller is going to be the fourth woman onto her bike. There is Jamie Simmons.
Third place in the fourth place pack, moving to 28.
Jamie Simmons making her first individual appearance here at the CrossFit Games since 2020, when she took 12th. She has stood on the podium here as an individual. In 2019, Simmons finished third place overall.
David's daughter.
Jamie's had some decent finishes in bike events here in Madison.
It was Emma Tall ahead of David's daughter. So Emma Tall, I believe that was Emma Tall who was in third. And then David's daughter in fourth.
start, I mean, got about 13 minutes left here, Sean, and so you start to look at body language, breathing, how relaxed are they? Emma Lawson looks very relaxed. Look how comfortable she is. Some of the people in the backpack are laboring. I just talked to Chris Henshaw. He's out there on the course watching these athletes, and some of these athletes, he says, look like they're on the verge of hyperventilation. And I don't think sometimes people understand is that how much cycling, racing in particular, will just suck the absolute life out of you. And a big reason is that because your main movers are the quads, the glutes, the hamstrings. Those things suck up oxygen out of your body faster than any muscle group because it's the largest one that you have and the main one that you're using. So if you start too fast here, there is really no time to recover on this course other than to just drop back and go slow.
Approaching the 28-minute mark. You can schedule a no-cost 15-minute evaluation to find out if a Rosti treatment is right for you. Get pain-free. Now available across the U.S. You can scan the QR code to get started. Emma Lawson looking for her first career test win as an individual here at the CrossFit Games. Her best finish prior to this, 3 third places last year.
Just how far she's out of that. And that, again, that's racing here in the CrossFit realm of just understanding the in-race strategy when working with other athletes that these athletes just don't have the experience with.
Lawson on lap number 5. Rolf sits in second. Behind Rolf, when we last checked in, it was Emma Tall, Karin Freyova.
An athlete in that pack I don't think we mentioned or saw is Gabby McDowell. And after the first lap, she's in 17th. Second lap moved up to 10. Third lap moved up to 7. Just keep an eye on, you know, she can continue that trend, just slowly moving herself through the course. 10 minutes is a long time on the bike. Still opportunities to make a move.
There are your top 3 on their 5th lap.
A tough spot, obviously. Emma Lawson in the back part of your screen. She's, you know, you got that leader energy, trying not to get caught. The toughest one is probably Emily Rolfe on that second mid-turn. She's just kind of in no man's land, a little bit of bike purgatory, so to speak. Is that, okay, I can't quite catch her. I'm slowly getting caught here. That's a tough spot to be in.
Less than 10 minutes to go before that gate will close. And we will have one final race to the finish. Bikes have been a regular occurring implement here at the CrossFit Games. We first saw them way back in 2012 at Pendleton.
Oh, Pendleton.
A day that lasted 73 hours if you were there. Next time we saw him was in cyclocross here in Madison, the second year, or pardon me, the first year we were here in Madison. And then we did road bikes with the Crit, Morgan Hill, California. In 2020, we had the bike repeater. And then last year, a bike to work.
Sean, you're talking about lap splits and how we're looking at our time, and averaging about 6:45 to 7 minutes. So for Emma Lawson, it's going to be hugely important on this coming lap. As we're right about the 31-minute mark, she may be hitting that lap gate time about 33. This next lap is going to be the most important lap for her because she could have the potential to be maybe the only person to get an extra lap done if she can race basically put the pedal down, no pun intended, to get an extra lap, timing-wise.
Lawson back on her bike. Here comes Emily Rolfe around the corner.
There's 7 athletes bunched up for third.
Rolfe has 2 test wins in her career at the CrossFit Games. Won the Ruck in 2019 and then Event 10 in 2021.
And Rolfe is slowly getting caught by that chasing pack.
And this is the battle for third. Bethany Flores now moving up ahead of David's daughter. Emma Tall is there. And Gabby McGower on the #1 bike, so she continues to move up. Jamie Simmons has been a fixture in this lead pack.
I wouldn't be surprised if this chase pack catches Emily Rolfe in this next lap, just because they're slowly catching the distance. She's tethered to them a bit more. She's within striking distance.
Alexis Raptis is back there on the #8 bike as well. Now, this test is presented by O2 Hydration, the official sports drink of the 2023 NOBULL CrossFit Games. Find O2 online at drinko2.com and at CrossFit Gyms nationwide. And hydrate like you mean it.
Hey, Emma Lawson's lap time was at the 32:29 mark. So that's 7.5 minutes to get an extra lap. Her last split time for her previous lap was right around 6:37 or 6:35. So if she can do that pace again, she'll get past that lap gate close by 30 seconds. The chase pack is 30 to 40 seconds behind her. Why is that important? Because they may not be able to make the gate at the 40-minute mark if they don't increase their speed. Right now, they're behind that pace. So as I said, Emma Lawson is in a position to be the only person to maybe get an extra lap after this lap.
Number 39 bike listed as Alexia Williams. She just got lapped by Emma Lawson. Lawson on her 6th lap here. Less than 6 minutes to go.
And Lawson is at 32:29 at the time check. Rolfe was at 32:51. It's about 22 seconds behind her. The chase pack, 33:04, 33:05. So again, 30 seconds, 30 to 35 seconds behind Emma Lawson. But they could be gaining speed because now they see Emily Rolfe. And like I said before, is that unless they're tethered, they can see the person they're trying to chase. They're at the mercy of their own pace. They can't pace off anyone.
Right now, it's looking like a handful of athletes will get through the gate at that 40-minute mark. Still have yet to see. There he is, Emily Rolfe there in the background. You can see her just passing it out toward the top of your screen. Continues to sit in 2nd place. Emma Lawson grabbed this lead on the 3rd lap and has continued to build on it as Bethany Flores has now moved into 3rd place.
Four minutes until that time gate closes. And again, that chase pack is right there on the second. So that scenario of a potential cluster of athletes within seconds of the gate closing, depending on how they navigate that, the games team could be right there on that cut line to get an extra lap. And that's another opportunity. That's another 6 to 7 minutes they have to potentially reel in Lawson. So this is the most important lap for these top 7 athletes.
Emma Lawson third last year in Bike to Work. And getting closer to her first career test win here as an individual at the CrossFit Games. Less than 3 minutes to go. Transition area coming up for Emma Lawson.
And Lawson's going to make the gate, but that pack in the top left corner of your screen, they have to make this cut. They have to. Otherwise they don't get an extra lap. But an extra lap, like I said, is a massive opportunity to work together to chase down Lawson, because Lawson has been flying solo for almost the last 30 minutes by herself, working by herself, pushing on her own. But to have a chase pack with the potential to catch her is huge.
Here comes Emily Rolfe. And now that pack behind Rolfe hopping off their butts.
Say Rolfe has done a great job in this lap, actually. She has extended her lead slightly on the chase group.
The battle for third is Catherine Davis-Daughter and Bethany Flores are towards the front. Emma Tall's right behind them. Lawson back on the bike. She's got less than 90 seconds to go to make that gate. Shouldn't be a problem. Here comes Emily Rolfe. She should get through as well. That's Bethany Flores, who is back in front of that pack. Gabby McGowan,
there she comes.
Continues to creep up.
Got 1 minute to get to the gate.
Alexis Raptis is on the bike ahead of Flores.
Third to 28.
Davis-Daughter trying to move up there in the back as well. And Jamie Simmons on the left side of your screen. So less than 40 seconds to go before the gate closes.
But look how hard they're pushing to just make the gate.
30 seconds, Raptis, Flores, Davis-Daughter, Magala, Tall, Simmons. Will be able to move into another lap.
All right, they all make the gate, but now look at them. Okay, there's one thing to make the gate, but what you had to do to get there. And that's another pace apart of being in the chase group. If you're in the lead by that much, you dictate your own pace. They'll have to spend so much energy just to make the time cut. That might have been too much for them to have enough to chase down Lawson in this final lap.
Another couple women get through. And now the gate has closed. And you can see the event staff on the field will now be waving the riders in. Their test is done.
The last ones to squeak through the gate looks like Forrest-Daughter, Lowen just squeezed in. So we have, I think it looks like 11 athletes made the gate.
And one we did not see, Laura Horvath, who was the leader early on in this test.
I think Horvath did squeak in there.
Oh yeah, good job!
Horvath may still be alive. 11 women got through. Paige Powers is going to exit the course.
So their laps, though, will all be, say, a specific lap 6 or 7. They'll all get 7 laps, but their tiebreaker is their time crossing that finish line at the gate. That's how they're going to separate the field. It's a race to the finish regardless, but the number of laps separate the field, but the time it takes them to complete is the main goal.
Emma Lawson As fans cheering her through this final lap as she looks to bring home her first test win here and lock up 100 points to kick off her 2023 NOBULL CrossFit Games. We'll try to keep an eye on the battle that is ensuing behind her.
Again, nice getting out of the turn, getting on the line of sight of that chase group.
Well, Emma Tall has now passed Emily Rolfe for second. There's Katrin Davidsdottir, who sits in fourth. So as you mentioned, getting to the gate was huge for that pack.
An extra, not an extra lap, an extra near 7 minutes of opportunity to move yourself up in this group.
Lawson, Tall, Rolfe, and Davidsdottir, your top four right now.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Again, Emma Lawson has led since the third lap. They are on lap 7 right now, are the leaders, the women who made it through that gate.
Just so impressive what Lawson has done since that third lap. All by herself, it's so hard to do.
Run portion of this lap that's coming up as Lawson's looking to lap even more riders. And Lawson off the bike for the final time.
Push! You can push! Let's go! Let's go! Everything you got! Everything you got!
Now Emma Tall is off along with Emily Rolfe in the background there.
That group is so tight. This run is going to be a factor.
Fisa Gaffi is the woman who's about to get lapped by Lawson. Emma Tall is now just ahead of Emily Rolfe.
Good job, lady!
Lawson is done back on the bike for the final time.
26 and 7 to 50.
Lawson trying to pick up the pace now and get across the finish line. Close things out. So Emma Lawson, her first career test win, 100 points as she wins ride.
Trying to take over Campos.
And now Emily Rolfe back in front of Emma Tall. So Rolfe is going to finish in second and Tall will take third.
Take her off the course.
Katrin Davidsdottir is in. I believe that's Alexis Raptis next to her.
We had another athlete in there. Here comes Simmons, ladies and gentlemen.
Jamie Simmons is across.
So this pack of
We'll have
athletes.
to wait for the official results as we weren't able to tell who got across after Davidsdottir. There is Emma Lawson, who will be wearing the leader's jersey as we head to the North Park for the second test later today.
Looked like maybe Lawson, as soon as that was over, just came off the bike immediately.
Laura Horvath comes across.
Here's Laura
Here
Horvath,
comes
who did
Sydney
make it through the
Wells,
gate,
ladies and
obviously.
gentlemen.
So she'll get a top 10 finish. Great start for her.
Craiova is done. A little over the 47 minutes.
There's Karin Freyova. Great effort from Emma Lawson, who was in the lead pack towards the beginning as Laura Horvath got out front. But then lap 3, and it was over.
Yeah, lead pack looked like the kiss of death for the first 2 laps. It was Laura Horvath followed by Katrin Davidsdottir, but Emma Lawson made her move on the 3rd transition and never looked back. Slowly extended her lead from lap to lap to lap. And then at the end, just by herself the entire time. Got through the final lap, gate closed. The other group was trying to chase her down. It was Emily Rawls solo for a while. But the work that Lawson put in to do this, watch, she comes off her bike immediately. Everyone else rode off and then had to come down and take a break.
100 points for Emma Lawson. She picks up her first career test win. Let's go to Nikki Brazier, who is with your test winner.
3:30 p.m.
We're taking a little bit of a seated approach here because, Emma, you look like I see you pouring some water on your legs. What's going on with your muscles and your body right now?
I'm cramping. Yeah, I probably should have had more sodium before this event. But yeah, on my 3rd final lap, my legs started cramping and I thought I was going to lose it all. It was a panicked moment, but I just pedaled through it. Eventually it went away, came back on the run, but got to do what you got to do, right?
Totally. Now, you were able to pull ahead relatively early and stay ahead, making a really wide gap. Sometimes it's almost harder to stay ahead when you have no one on your left and right really pushing you. So how were you mentally able to push through that?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things you kind of just got to take a chance. I took a chance to start out on the front. And it worked out for me this time, doesn't always, but yeah, I was just really trying to push the pace, be aware of where everybody was. So,
what does it do for you to start out the games weekend with a win like this?
I mean, it definitely helps my confidence going into the rest of the weekend, but then again, it's only the first event out of many, so it doesn't really on to the next event. So yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Emma Lawson, her first career test win here at the CrossFit Games. The women are done. The men coming up next. So stay with us here, everybody, at the 2023 NOBULL CrossFit Games.